Hello, thank you for joining us today. My name is Andrea Lillo with Designers Today, and I'm so pleased to have Giles Sutton here with us today from CEDIA. So, Giles, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Andrea. It's fantastic to be here. Really excited for our conversation.
So, for people who don't know what CEDIA is, can you talk a little bit about what your organization focuses on?
Absolutely. So CEDIA is a nonprofit membership association we in the smart home technology space. So for a lot of people, smart home seems a relatively new thing, but we're a 32-year-old association. So our members have actually been working with technology, working with designers and architects and consumers for over 3 decades, and we represent a range of different companies in this space, from manufacturers, the kind of household names that you're used to, like Sony and LG, and increasingly some of the big tech companies like Amazon and Google, and as well as some of the smart appliance manufacturers like Kohler that are developing smart appliances, as well as those that actually design and install the technology as well.
We just had our smart home survey, and which is why I wanted to talk to you today, because to me it's a fascinating category. It's obviously growing and evolving, but for many people it could be a little terrifying, maybe. So I thought we could start off with, what are some of the misconceptions of smart home, and how do we get over that, or how do we address those?
You're absolutely right. I think there are a lot of misconceptions about smart home. I think that what a lot of people consider smart home to be is some of the, sometimes some of the gadgets that you see in retail stores. I think people think of it as incredibly complicated. They don't really understand how to, connect all the pieces. I think the term smart home actually doesn't help with trying to sort of build kind of trust as well, because I think when we think of smart, we think of technology kind of doing things for you, which is can be a little bit off-putting. Whereas the reality of what our members do is simplify technology. So I actually think our members really try and work with designers to really create simple homes for consumers, because the technology can be pretty overwhelming. Technology has really exploded in the last few years. Smart home, with mainly voice technology coming in from Amazon and Google, which has really suddenly driven a lot of the consumer interest in this, along with the pandemic, which has been really interesting for our industry, because the pandemic, if anything, has kind of accelerated that interest, because people turned to technology to solve a lot of the problems that they encountered during the pandemic. The pandemic really kind of changed, I think, that perception of smart home being the gadget, the innovation, the luxury, and it turned it into something that actually became a necessity for anyone that's really designing a home. This is necessary because people think, well, we're now in this hybrid environment where people are going to be dividing time with, going out as well as entertaining at home, relaxing at home. And that kind of hybrid work environment that we're seeing right now. So the home needs more technology in it to be able to cope with that, the new reality we are in, like post pandemic. But overarching all of that is simplicity. It is overwhelming. There's so much technology that's out there. It's hard to know exactly where to start, and that's where CEDIA members are really best placed to really be able to hone in on the most reliable equipment, the most attractive technology, because it's not just about putting screens on walls above fireplaces. It's about finding technology that is sympathetic to the interior, audiovisual, AV, multi-room audio. That is really how the industry was founded, is people wanted music in different rooms. So AV is still a very fundamental part of what our members do. And that's where actually there is often the most opportunity to make an impact on the aesthetic. So when it comes to the television, a lot of ways that designers are surprised when they talk to CEDIA members is it's about where can we put the television actually where you aren't drawn to it when you walk into the room. It isn't the main feature of this, this big black kind of hole.
Right.
It's actually, what can we do to actually make the room look its best while incorporating an AV system in there in some way? So is it that we have speakers that are plastered over, or we have speakers that are designed that are sprayed the same color as the wall or the ceiling? Is it that the TV recesses behind a mechanism and actually it hides behind a piece of artwork? So it's those kind of questions, but that our members ask. But it typically starts with music and video. Increasingly, what we're seeing, which is this next piece, and I mentioned Kohler earlier, is that it's also starting with appliances, and that's where a lot of these conversations actually start from with designers, is because appliances, ovens, a lot of very design orientated appliance brands like Monogram, for example, and LG, and LG Signature, they're all smart appliances. So they have the ability to connect to the home network, to provide a range of different different features, or like I said, the Kohler bathroom products. That can be the gateway into this as well. It's like starting with, well, the kitchen technology, what's in the bathroom technology, because all of that requires thought as how that will work with other elements within the home. The key thing is to have that conversation. The designers need to have that conversation with their homeowners, but you don't have to be that technical. I think that's probably one of the things that hopefully comes through, is that it's not necessarily about that technical spec. We're not expecting designers to know the technical spec.
Right.
Obviously there are techie designers, but it's more understanding how the room is going to be used, what is important to the homeowner, whether it's as I said, music, movies. What about security? Is security a concern in the neighborhood? And then allowing the CEDIA member to work with the designer to come up with the right specification.
When you talked about like the kitchen and bathroom, the appliances, I think those are obviously two rooms where people have no problem spending a lot of money. So maybe that helps too. Cause I know sometimes, a smart home always has like a price tag attached to it, or people assume it does. But in those rooms, they're more willing to put the money in for what they really want.
Absolutely. Those are really important rooms, actually, the price of smart home is dropping because of the fact that actually, 30 years ago, it was a lot harder to connect all of these different pieces together. Whereas now, out of the box, a lot of technology will automatically connect to other devices. So with that, it's a lot more accessible smart home technology than it's ever been, and it's going to get more accessible. The kitchen and the bathroom they're multi-use spaces a lot of the time. They're often open plan. Well, the bathroom isn't open plan, thankfully, but the kitchen is open plan often. And what you then find is a range of different experiences are needed in that space, whether entertaining, kids doing homework, or just cooking and relaxing, and often it's how you have music systems integrated into that. But in the bathroom, you can create a lot of different moods and scenes with integrating the lighting with music, and actually have that, like I said earlier, that separation between work and life that is very challenging when you're not leaving your home. So that is a really great use for the bathroom, is to actually create those experiences with technology.
A spa experience at home.
Exactly. Absolutely.
So in our smart home survey, we asked a lot of interior designers like what products the clients were interested in, and also what did clients buy. And overwhelmingly, it was motorized window coverings. And I don't know why I was surprised, but why do you think that is such a popular category for a smart home?
Quite honestly, because it's extremely impactful. And actually, I'm not surprised that that's what your audience mentioned, because that is also where design elements come into it. So, the types of fabrics that are used, that's part of the relationship between the designer, the architect, and the homeowner, is selecting the right fabrics for whether it's curtain tracks or blinds. And actually, this is where it sort of makes the most impact on the home. If you've got a large house, that actually the blinds can serve multiple purposes. They can be fantastic from a security perspective, particularly if you're away. It will ensure that it doesn't, it's not obvious to anyone in the neighborhood that the house is unoccupied, because during the day all the curtains are closed.
Right.
They can open and close at different times of day to kind of simulate occupancy. But also, they're energy saving. They can help if you've got sort of high, rooms that have a lot of sunshine. They can keep them cool during the day and be used to save energy there. So they're also one of these pieces where it's really important that it becomes part of the design process. Mm-hmm. So it's very hard to install smart blinds and curtains at the end of the project. In fact, very difficult. That is a nightmare. That's cables being channeled through finished walls, and no.
What you said about doing it earlier rather than later, like that's with smart home. I never thought about it until the survey, how starting it at the end of the project or deciding at the end of the project you want to add smart home, it's going to cost a lot more than if you started when the walls are down or things are being built up, and that's something I think maybe just letting people know or asking your clients right before the project whether you want to do smart home or not, just so there's no surprises later on if they decide, hey, I decided I want music in every room. Well, now it's going to be harder than if you were starting it right from the beginning. So that's probably a good tip for interior designers to think about.
Absolutely. And even if that answer is no, it's funny how it can lead to, well, there are still some actual basic needs. Right. Where there is the necessity to call in an integrator if you want things done properly. So yes, there is a lot of technology that you can put in right at the end. There are some things you really can't put in right at the end, and that's if you want mood lighting or it starts to get quite complicated. And actually, by the end of it, if you've got multiple circuits of lighting, you're going to have multiple light switches everywhere anyway, and that's not really sightly. That's what we're trying to solve here. We're trying to make that simpler, so you're not the classic hotel room where you're going from one to the other trying to work out how to switch your lights off.
What's on the horizon with smart home that you're excited about? Anything that we should be aware of or look out for?
Well, there's a lot of new technology developments in wellness technology, and that's beyond the bathroom, beyond the sort of spa environment. It's having human-centric lighting. So we, instead of being like in an office environment where the color temperature of your lighting stays the same throughout the day, which is totally unnatural. As humans, through our evolution, we know that when the light starts to turn orange, more orange in color, it's getting time for bed. It's time to start unwinding. Or when the light is really bright, we're fully energized. So we're just stuck with this kind of this bright white light all day. So human-centric lighting is an interesting new technology which emulates, the color change that we experience outside throughout the day. As well as the smart appliances that I mentioned, from the likes of Kohler, that are a really interesting area that are growing too. So those are sort of strong growth areas. We're seeing work from home technology as well. So people are in this hybrid work environment. So being able to have conference calls and being able to have homes zoned so that multiple people can be online at different times. And it's funny because actually homes used to be designed with just that one study, and with one study or one office where the homeowner would work with maybe have a couple of desks in it. But now we realize actually that's not That's not going to work if you're on Zoom calls all day. You need multiple rooms and spaces for people to be able to be on Zoom calls. So with the work from home technology is also developing, also outdoor technology. Again, post-pandemic,
right?
People, when they're entertaining, are starting to be more comfortable with outdoor environments. So there's outdoor music systems, outdoor TV. Entertainment tends to be the biggest kind of area there, but there's a whole host of technology that can bring kind of what would traditionally be in-home experiences outside. Technology allows spaces to be used, to become more versatile. So they're not just, for a single use, they could be for multiple uses, through things, hiding and different technology coming out when it's needed. So that's an interesting area as well. Definitely an evolution instead of that single big home theater.
Right. Well, we'll have to see what happens in next, in the next few months and years, and it will be really fun to watch. So I want to thank you so much for your time today.